So my birthday was recently. I wanted to do some kind of immersive theater experience. There's a famous show in the US called Tony and Tina's Wedding where people come to a show, but then they're in a wedding, like they're guests at a wedding. So they're like sitting in the chairs with the bride and the groom getting married, and then there's the reception afterwards, and they're sitting at tables in the reception. But there's actors all around them, right? So there's an actors playing the bride and the groom and other family members and other guests, but then you get to interact with them and you're like inside the show. And that's a really cool idea. And I also love prank shows like the Ali G show, and which is where Borat and Bruno came from. Sacha Baron Cohen, absolute genius, one of my all-time comedy idols. And so I love prank shows like that. Nathan For You is another great prank show. And so I wanted to do something like that. I have done those kind of things just for fun. Like me and my friend, when we were younger, we used to just go out into the world and interact with people playing characters. And we didn't even have a camera. It was like just for our own entertainment. And when I say when we were younger, I don't mean like 12. We were like in our 20s. We were adults, but just enjoyed like playing characters and messing with people and having a laugh. So I wanted to do something like that for my birthday. So the idea was I would invite people to my birthday party. So people are coming to my birthday party, but then I would have certain people acting as roles within the birthday party, but no one would know who was an actor and who wasn't, and who had a role and who didn't. And even the actors themselves, I didn't know who else was playing a role. And so I really wanted to make it this kind of experience where you didn't know what was real and what was not, who was playing a role and who wasn't. So in other words, I didn't have people playing a secret agent or a detective or that kind of role where it'd be like obvious, okay, they're playing a role. I know that Joey is not a secret agent from the US secret CIA or whatever. So in other words, I had everyone play themselves, but with some kind of exaggeration of their traits or certain desires or incidences that we could expand on and build out. And people were not sure if people were playing roles or things going on. So, for example, I had her play like my nemesis. And so she was like, she had just recently come back to Bali from Spain after a few months, and I had her basically try to turn the party, her role that I gave her was to try to turn the party into her welcome back party. In other words, take the spotlight off of me, and it's supposed to be my birthday party, but she's turning into her welcome back party, and then she's trying to take me down, basically, and just insulting me and clowning on me and just being a nemesis. And people did not know what to make of that because, again, they're at my birthday party. They know they're coming to a theater experience. They know that there's going to be people playing roles, but I don't think anyone's expecting anything antagonistic, anything confrontational, right? I think they're just expecting people to be silly or something. But this was like, my friend was like playing it for real. Like she seemed like she was really being rude and mean to me in front of everyone. And we had a couple mics set up so that the whole room could hear it. And there was like maybe 45 people there, just to give you a picture of it. It's like 45 people. It's not a huge room. It wasn't in a huge room, so it was like 45 people relatively close together. And then, so she would get on the mic and start being like, who are all these people that you paid to be your friends and come to this party? I know you don't have this many friends. Like, where'd you find these people to pay them? And this kind of thing. And like, you are just telling me how boring I was, and let her take over the party and welcome back and all this, right? And I'm playing as if this is really going on. I'm not playing as if I know, as if I gave her the role and I know she's doing it. Like, I'm playing for real as if she's just doing this and just being an asshole. And so we're going, like, she's on one mic, I'm on another mic, we're like going back and forth. People are like mouths open, like they don't know what to make of it, right? Is this real? Or even if it's not real? Like, why are they doing this? And they're just like, people are getting uncomfortable. And in my head, I'm laughing because a good prank, right, if you watch Borat or Ali G and any of those shows, like, the people are uncomfortable, and that's what's funny, right? It's like we're laughing watching it while people are getting uncomfortable from these characters. In my head, I'm laughing, but not a lot of people in the room were. And so this goes on, and like a lot of people are just at a party trying to do the party, and then I had another guy that was recruiting people for his community, but as the night went on, it became more obvious that he was starting a cult and wanted people to do weird things, and he was like using me as a way to enroll people and saying, oh, I'm in it already and they got to join too. So he's like kind of weirding people out as they become aware that he's recruiting them for his cult, and that there's some sick stuff going on in there. And he was also like he's new to this community, so not a lot of people knew him, so like they didn't know that he was playing a role. They like didn't really think he would be playing a role because they didn't know that he was like any kind of actor or whatever, because he hasn't been in the improv scene really for very long. They thought that could be real or what's going on there. And then, so this is like going on, and it's like getting sprinkled in. There's some people who are having fun and just doing party stuff, and then other people are getting weirded out and not sure what's real and what's not. And even as I said, the actors themselves were like not sure who was playing a role and who wasn't, so they were like acting, and then one person was like rude to an actor, but the actor thought, oh, that must be his role, and so he was like rude, even ruder back, but like it turned out that other guy was not playing a role, so he was just really rude to someone who wasn't playing a role. Anyway, so that kind of stuff was happening, which I find amusing. And then it gets to this point where people start giving little speeches about me, like a few words, happy birthday, and you're a good friend kind of thing, or not a good friend, whatever, as some of them went, because it went from being really nice things to some of the people playing roles would say things that were rude. And then this one woman who was playing a role, starts talking about how I haven't invited her to stuff and she's feeling left out, and she's been trying to sleep with me for over a year and I keep ignoring her, and she's a really good actress. So, and some of this, she has complained about being left out in the past and like people ignoring her, and men not, how she has trouble communicating to men that she's interested in them. It all seemed like it could be real, and people were like not sure if this is real or not. And again, this is on a mic in front of the whole party, she's talking about how she's been trying to sleep with me for a year now, and she's like going on and on about it. And remember when we were at that pool party and and I said this, and then you were rude to me, and it's like this long speech about going through how I've been like rude to her and rejected her and what's my problem. And so people are like getting really uncomfortable. In my head, I'm laughing hysterically. I'm on the front, I'm playing totally straight. What are you doing? Someone get the mic away from her. That's what I'm doing on the surface, and getting red-faced, embarrassed. But inside, I'm like laughing hysterically and like cheering her to keep going because it's hilarious. She's killing it. And basically, she kept going, and the whole thing escalated until the whole party started chanting. I'll give a fake name for this, but let's say her name was Sheila. The whole party started chanting, "Fuck Sheila, fuck Sheila." So the whole party starts chanting that. That's how it escalated, and that was the climax of the evening. No pun intended. That was like the climax of the whole show, right? Is that it kind of all built up to that, which was awesome in my view. It was hilarious, but not everybody thought it was so funny. A lot of people like didn't like the concept, or they didn't like the experience of not knowing who was playing a role and who wasn't. A lot of people were just uncomfortable when it was getting antagonistic or confrontational like that. And then other people, a lot of people like just didn't really get it. Like they didn't understand the comedy of it. They didn't get what was like, okay, people are playing these roles and doing this thing, but what's funny about that? Like, why are you even doing that? People didn't really get it. And the thing about that is, okay, that thing about that is that's good art. And so not everyone got it. Not everyone liked it. Not everyone understood it. That's good art. Good art makes people uncomfortable. Good art is not for everybody. Good art pushes people's buttons. It challenges people. And that's what we did at my birthday party. It was ultimately a challenging, uncomfortable piece of art. I consider it a piece of art. And not necessarily high art or fine art, but art nonetheless, just like I consider Ali G Show and Borat as art, because it does make you feel a certain way, and for some people, it makes you laugh. For other people, feel uncomfortable, right? And for other people, it exposes things about people. In other words, a lot of times when in the Ali G Show or in Borat in the movie is portraying racism, like he's being racist in some way, but he's really exposing the other people's racism, right? Whoever he's interacting with. Like he's acting racist, but then he's exposing their racism. Or he's exposing their lack of a response to racism. In other words, just being okay with it. And there's obviously that famous scene where he got a whole bar in Arizona. He was performing as Borat. He was like singing a song on stage in a bar, and he got the whole bar to sing along with him this song that he made up called "Throw the Jew Down the Well," and he got the whole bar. So in other words, it reveals stuff about, when you play pranks on people, it reveals stuff about them as well, depending on the prank obviously, but you get what I'm saying. So in my party, I didn't expose any racism. It wasn't quite as lofty as that, but it did show that how people are around like uncomfortable conversations or confrontations or aggressiveness or antagonism, and a lot of people are uncomfortable with that. And I would say particularly where I am, it's a very loving, soft place, which is great. It's great for that. But also, people end up not having real conversations. In other words, they don't tell people how they really feel or think about them. And so it can lead to some fakeness, some lack of authenticity, some superficiality, right? And I think this is happening actually a lot across the U.S., which is where I'm from. I've only been in Bali for 2 years. Before that, I was in the U.S. for my whole life. And it is becoming more and more soft, I don't love that word because it seems, but basically it's becoming the whole safe space thing, and people are getting offended so easily at everything, and so basically you're not allowed to say real things, you're not allowed to confront people or really speak out and call things out for being whatever, ridiculous in some way. And everyone is being passive aggressive and withholding with how they really think and feel, which then leads to a lot of resentment because people are they're holding in what they really think and feel, and then that festers and it becomes bigger and worse. And so there's all this resentment and a lack of trust and a lack of connection. And so to me, these are actually major problems. And they're not all and people are becoming aware of feeling less connected, like they're aware of it, you feel it, right? But I don't think they're, from what I can see, attributing it to what I'm talking about. They're not really grasping that when you are not real with people and you don't really tell them how you really think and feel, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's confrontational, that it leads to a lack of connection. That, in other words, you hold that in and it becomes a block in between you and the other person, which distances the connection. And so I think that this is actually a major problem that's happening definitely across the US, and I'm sure other places as well that are influenced by that, Canada, that because people are not being real with each other, there's just less authenticity, which leads to less connection, and which leads to less trust. And if you don't have trust, you don't have a society. And so we are heading down a dangerous road where people are less and less connected, less and less authentic, and less trusting of each other. And when you don't have trust, you don't have a society. It falls apart. And this video took a big swing. I didn't really plan on getting to this society falling apart, starting from my birthday party to society falling apart. But I'm just going with whatever comes to me, and this is where it led. And I think that this is actually like a really important thing for you to consider in your own life, right? It starts with you. Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. So starting with you, can you be more authentic? Even authentics become like a buzzword that is losing meaning. Can you be more real? Can you tell people how you're actually thinking and feeling? And can you, the people that are important to you, again, this doesn't mean you have to walk around being confrontational with everybody, but the people that you care about in your life, or that you are with a lot of the time, like coworkers or something, can you be more real with them? And can you, the things that you're holding on to, the resentments that you're holding on to because you haven't been able to tell people how you really think and feel, can you clear them with the person? In other words, can you sit down with them and tell them, hey, not in a confrontational way, but in a, hey, when this happened, I felt this way. In other words, when you said this to me, I felt a bit hurt. And if you say it like that, this is what happened, this is how I felt, that can be received by someone because it's not accusing them of anything. It's just saying, hey, this happened, you said this, or I asked you for this and you didn't do it, or you didn't invite me to such and such, or didn't call me back, or whatever the thing is, and just saying how you felt about it. And again, how you felt, not what you thought about it, not telling them they did something wrong, but just saying, I felt hurt, I felt left out, or I felt dissed or insulted, or I just felt sad or disappointed, or whatever the feeling is, but an actual feeling, an emotion. Keeping it at that, you're not accusing them of anything, but you're sharing how this affected you, and it's make it much easier for them to empathize with you. And then it also allows you to let go of it, because try it, and you'll see that it allows you to let go of it, because you're sharing how you actually felt about something, not holding it inside. And you'll find that with a lot of people, again, if you do it in the right way, like I'm saying, not in an aggressive confrontational way, that will actually bring you closer to those people, and you'll feel closer, because that thing that you're holding on, that resentment that you're holding on against them, is a block in between you and them. And so give it a try, and try to not hold in things, resentments anymore, because it will create more and more of a disconnect between you and other people, which, like I said, leads to less trust and less of a cohesive society. That's it for today. Keep tuning back in. I'm making these videos daily, just sharing my journey in life here in Bali.